Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Let's talk about what's actually happening with the Mets because there's some frustration building, and rightfully so. First thing I need to address is the Steve Cohen and Alex Cohen social media situation because some people in this fan base have completely lost their minds. Alex Cohen deleted her Instagram, and immediately you had people saying it's because they got their casino approved, so now they don't care about the team anymore. That's genuinely one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard. And if you're one of the people saying that, you need to take a serious look in the mirror and ask yourself why you think that way. Alex Cohen left social media because people were harassing her family constantly. People were sliding into her DMs asking for money, asking for tickets, asking for jobs, attacking her husband about roster decisions like she has anything to do with baseball operations. Her dad is in his 90s and is a lifelong Mets fan. She wants to see him experience a championship before he passes. Steve Cohen is a lifelong Mets fan who desperately wants to win a World Series. The idea that they're suddenly not trying because the casino got approved is absurd on every level. The casino is great for Queens, great for New York, great for the area around Citi Field. It's also not opening until 2030, which means it has absolutely nothing to do with what this roster looks like in 2026. If you genuinely believe that Cohen spent over $700 million on Juan Soto just to sell tickets while building a casino, you're not thinking rationally. That's not how any of this works. Steve Cohen has been attacked so relentlessly by a portion of this fan base that the team owner doesn't even use social media anymore. Think about how toxic that is. We drove our own owner off Twitter because people couldn't control themselves. Let the offseason play out before you start screaming about how the team doesn't care. I'm going to my 23rd straight home opener on March 27th with my dad. Let's see what the roster looks like on that day before we declare the sky is falling. Right now, this roster, as currently constructed, is not good enough. I'm not living in fantasy land here. The Mets right now are probably a 75 to 83 win team, and that's being generous. They need pitching, they need outfield help, and honestly, they probably still need help at first base. But there's still time to address those needs. Kyle Tucker is the name everyone keeps talking about, and for good reason. His market is apparently a mystery right now, and there's talk he might take a short-term, high-average annual value deal instead of a long-term contract. That's the dream scenario for the Mets because, honestly, I don't think Tucker is worth an 8 to 10-year commitment. He's a really good player, but I think he's a bit overrated when you talk about giving him a massive long-term deal. But a 3-year deal at $35 million per year, yeah, I'd do that in a heartbeat, even though it's expensive, because it gives you an elite bat behind Soto without hamstringing your payroll for the next decade. The problem is Toronto is all in right now, and they can offer Tucker more years at similar money. If the Blue Jays come in with 6 years at the same average annual value the Mets are offering on 3, Tucker is going to Toronto. And let's be honest about where these two teams stand right now. The Blue Jays are significantly better than the Mets at this moment. That's just reality. The Mets, as currently built, are not sniffing the playoffs if they don't make more moves. The ceiling right now is probably around that 83 win mark, and even that might be generous depending on health and whether guys like Kodai Senga can actually stay on the field. Tucker would obviously help a lot, but you still need starting pitching, which brings us to Freddie Peralta. The Brewers are apparently asking for a massive haul to trade him and reportedly want multiple top prospects, including guys like Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong plus more. For 1 year of control, that's just too steep. I get that Peralta's really good. He had over 200 strikeouts last season with a sub-3 ERA. He's a legitimate frontline starter when he's on. But is he worth gutting your farm system for 1 guaranteed year? I don't think so. The Mets are trying to build something sustainable here. Yesterday, I had Ernest Dove on the show, and we talked for over an hour about the depth of talent in this farm system. There are guys outside the top 20 prospects who could contribute at the major league level soon. Will Watson is one name Ernest mentioned. There are others who aren't getting national attention but are legitimate prospects who could help this team in the next year or two. Do you really want to trade away multiple pieces like that for 1 year of Peralta when you're not even a World Series contender with him? That's the question David Stearns has to ask himself. Are the Mets one Freddie Peralta away from winning the World Series? The honest answer is no, they're not. So why mortgage the future for a guy who's going to be a free agent next winter anyway? I'm all for trading prospects to improve the team, but it has to make sense contextually. If you're trading for Corbin Burns with multiple years of control, that's different. But a one-year rental of Peralta when you're still multiple pieces away from being a true contender, that's not the move. People keep saying just go sign Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez and call it an offseason. That's $60 million in average annual value. Right there between those two guys. If the Mets do that, they're probably done spending. They might have to trade Senga or David Peterson just to clear payroll space. Maybe you keep Senga and trade Peterson and sign both Tucker and Valdez. That could work. Then you fill in the edges with cheap depth pieces and hope everything comes together. But that's still a lot of money committed to guys who might not even be here long term. The reality is this entire league has been quiet on long-term deals this offseason. It's not just a Mets thing, even though people want to make it about the Mets being cheap. Shota Imanaga got 2 years. Seiya Suzuki got 4 years. Teoscar Hernandez got 2 years. You're not seeing many 6 or 7 year commitments outside of Dylan Cease to Toronto. Part of that is the upcoming CBA negotiations and potential lockout next winter. Teams don't want to be locked into massive long-term deals when the entire economic structure of baseball might change in 12 months. That's affecting every team's decision-making process right now. The Mets did make a couple minor league signings that nobody cares about, but I have to mention them anyway. Christian Arroyo and Robinson Martinez both signed minor league deals. Arroyo was a first-round pick back in 2013 and has bounced around the majors for 7 years without ever really sticking. He hit .286 with 6 homers for the Red Sox in 2022, which was his best season. He's organizational depth who can play multiple positions and will probably start in AAA Syracuse. Martinez pitched well in winter ball with a 3.52 ERA and 19 strikeouts over 15 innings. He was in the Orioles system last year. Neither guy is exciting, but you need bodies in the minors in case injuries happen. Tyrone Taylor is still on this roster, and people keep asking why he's here when he can't hit. Listen, Taylor is fine as a 4th or 5th outfielder. He's got speed. He plays good defense. He can fill in when someone needs a day off. But he absolutely cannot be a starting center fielder on a team that wants to compete. Right now, if the season started tomorrow, Taylor would be the starting center fielder because Carson Benj isn't ready yet. That should terrify everyone because Taylor has never been able to hit major league pitching consistently. His career average is .231 with minimal power. You can't have a black hole in the middle of your lineup every day and expect to score runs. The other trade idea that keeps getting thrown around is moving Senga for Christian Walker and a reliever from Houston. The money lines up almost perfectly. Senga makes $13 million, Walker makes $10 million. You'd probably have to include someone like Mark Vientos or maybe Luisangel Acuna to balance out the prospect value, but the framework makes sense. The question is whether the Mets are prioritizing first base or outfield right now, and all signs point to outfield being the bigger focus. I still think they need a right-handed power bat at first base or DH. Someone like Yandy Diaz would make perfect sense, but there hasn't been much noise linking him to the Mets. David Stearns has a long-term plan here. Ernest and I talked about this extensively yesterday. This farm system is now top 5 in baseball. That doesn't happen by accident. Stearns knows what he's building, and it's not just about 2026. He's trying to create sustained success over multiple years. That means not giving up elite prospects for one-year rentals unless you're absolutely certain you're one piece away from a championship. Right now, the Mets aren't there yet. They need multiple pieces still, and that's okay. You don't have to go all in every single year. The Blue Jays are a perfect example of how this can work. They built through their farm system with guys nobody had heard of who stepped up and contributed. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and others came through the system and became stars. Then once they had that core in place, they started spending on free agents to supplement what they had. The Mets are trying to do something similar, get the young talent to the majors, let them develop, then add veterans around them when the timing is right. Tomorrow is the one-year anniversary of this show, which is pretty wild to think about. We've covered so much over the last year, and it's been great connecting with all of you every single day. I appreciate everyone who watches, comments, and engages with the content. Tomorrow we'll celebrate that milestone, but today we're just dealing with the reality that this roster needs work and there's still time to get it done. David Stearns isn't panicking, and neither should we. Let's see what the roster looks like on opening day before we declare this offseason a disaster. Things can still come together, but it needs to happen soon because pitchers and catchers report in a month. And right now there are still massive holes that need filling.